Oops, wrong one. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the best idea. Um, the only thing I can think of is, screw it. I'm not gonna screw around with it. Okay, yeah, I think that's the best idea. I think just transcribe and then I'll talk and then that's pretty much I think our best hope. So great. Actually, let me answer. Let me first go back and answer a question um, about planning new concept, early concepts. So I want for Eternity Port, for example, um, I started with the key idea of visiting the near stars and trying to figure out what Earth and Solar System were like. Then I added the mission line. Then when trying to think about who the big bad was in I came up with Luminous. Um, After that, all the pieces fell into place. Basically, once I had a couple of key points, I started designing around that. Um, Over. All right. Yeah, let me that's a great question. Sorry, let me read it back. Um, 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 Sorry, where was that? Um, yeah, sorry. I apologize. Where do you get some of your inspiration for shift station designs? Yeah, sorry, that's what I was looking for. Um, that's a little tougher just because I think it varies. It varies greatly depending on the scenario. Sometimes I get it based on um, the lore of the particular sovereign. Other times it depends on the game mechanics that I'm trying to do. Um, Most of the time, I start with a sketch, and then from there proceed to a 3D model. Let me show some sketches um, just for the Twitch people. So I think hopefully you guys will be able to see, oops, wrong one. Hopefully you guys will be able to see some of this stuff. Um, Make sure I'm still broadcasting. Yeah, I'm still broadcasting. Um, yeah, it, as long as, the most of the images are static, so I hope they catch up. But let me show off. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Thank you. Okay, so did it help? Well, let me show some of these sketches. Uh, these are some of the sketches. Hey, is there any way that I can paste some of this into chat? Probably not. Into IRC? Probably not. Yeah. You know what? I'll do it on Twitter. Um, sorry. But basically, I just wanted to show some of these examples. Um, this, for instance, an example of stations for Asian Pacific Directorate, and you can see I kind of just did a bunch of sketches just to lay out, what I wanted some of these things to be like, and a lot of these ended up being used in Eternity Port in the game. So, for example, this one, is kind of what I had as an idea for the the Metropolis, the big constellation, the Asian Pacific, the one that's got a bunch of separate stations. Of course, it's a lot easier to draw a bunch of little tiny stations than it is to render all the ones in the game. So I think sometimes I think the concepts come up better than the actual station. Other times I think like this was, for instance, the original the Tulau station, and I think the rendered version is much better than this kind of boring ring-like shape. So that's kind of a lot of how I've done it. Let me while I'm here, let me just post this to Twitter so that people can see it. This might be cool. If people are on Twitter, um, um, I think hopefully they'll be able to see it. Yes, I'll write it. Um, yeah, a lot of this for part two. I'm gonna just keep typing. For part two, um, I'll I'm mostly working on game mechanics, and a lot of the lore is still up in the air. But there is some stuff, um, at least in preliminary form, though I don't know if it will change. Um, yeah, that's funny. Hey, that's what this is all about, right? You guys get to see a little bit of behind the scenes, and if you catch some glimpses of part two, that's fine. I got no problem with that. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. All right, well let's get to the next question. Yeah, actually, let me read the question over the air because I think that'll be easier. Otherwise, people on Twitch may not totally hear you. So I think it'll be fine. So when you're designing a new faction, how do you go about finding a naming scheme for their stuff? Uh, Great question. Again, it depends on the faction. Sometimes a faction like United African States clearly implies naming scheme. Um, for for others, it is harder, and I just try to have consistency between the names. Cool, thanks. So that's, yeah, so that's, uh, I'm not going to answer too much just because I know there's a ton of questions, so I want to kind of get through a lot of them. Did you make all your own planet graphics in Transcendence and Acreon, and to what extent was Luminous used? I made all the graphics. I didn't use Luminous for most of the planets. Most are just textures which I created in Photoshop and then wrapped into a sphere. What fusion between Photoshop and Luminous is there, and do you use any other tools? Uh, um, um, the only connection between Photoshop and Luminous is really via cut and paste. Luminous generates images from procedural instructions. Later I can take those images and modify them and enhance them in Photoshop. Those really are my primary tools other than TrueSpace for 3D. Over. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't really think I use any other tools. I mean, I tend to. Luminous is basically what I'll use if I need just something programmatic, and for everything else, I do Photoshop. Photoshop is just super powerful. So that's kind of how that works. Let's see what notifications I got. Oh, good. Good, I'm getting good comments. I love it. One other thing, while I'm waiting for the next question, one other thing that I use Luminous for is to do the to just put together the sprite sheets. So it's really easy. I'll show you this. This was another little spoiler, but we'll see. I have this little Luminous program that will just put a bunch of bitmaps together and put them all into a sprite sheet so that I can just use them. I can just cut and paste this and put it down into Photoshop and then generate all the masks and all that. So that's the other thing. That's the other connection between Luminous and Photoshop. What's going on here? Just waiting for the next question. Okay, you tweeted out an image of some shipyard sketches a while back. We can clearly see Polyarny and Kibo, but how about other ones? Let me just show that one to everyone on Twitch. So that's the set of stations on that we're talking about. Most are just concepts, but I think I might use one or two for one of the Earth Industries shipyards. All right. Yeah, I like these. I think these were it was fun to do these. I really do like kind of just sketching out some stuff. I think probably this one's obviously Kibo, and that's Polyarny. I kind of like this one, almost like a little protected lagoon where you can have a bunch of shipyards, or I mean a bunch of ships in there. This might even be more of a military shipyard or something like that. I don't know. This one is just kind of a variant of Kibo, so I don't know if I'll do that one. But I think, yeah, but maybe something like this one, which I guess is pretty reminiscent of Gunson, or this one, I think is also fairly cool. But probably I'll end up just doing a bunch of new ones, a bunch of new shipyard sketches. This one I like conceptually, but it's hard to do in a top-down view. So I don't think this one would quite work out as a shipyard for Transcendence. Same with this one. I think this would get a little bit muddled when you actually render it from top down. So I don't know if that would actually work. Okay, next question. Zelarus is in the process of falling apart to the point that it's already an iffy proposition to get a mod to upload update. Are there any plans in the works for a multiverse side replacement in the works, and hopefully sooner than later? Yes, that's a real problem, and it is a priority for me. We have a couple of paths. First, I want to implement the workshop features on Steam. That should get us some, that should help a lot. That will definitely happen this year. Later, we currently have a basic system for uploading extensions to the multiverse. This is what the registered developers use, like TSP and TBR. I'd like to eventually open that up to everyone. It will take a bit of time to get it ready, so I can't promise timeline yet, but that's the ultimate goal. Over. Okay. Along the same lines, there are a lot of people in the community willing to help with the solutions. Any thoughts to open up community social tools such as Steam, Twitter to trust a community member? Yes. Yes, I would love to assign moderators to both Steam and probably Twitch. It would be great for others to Twitch their own game playthroughs. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that kind of stuff. I mean, that's clearly that's exactly, I think, what the community is just great at. I do think the community needs to be more involved in moderating, particularly Steam. I think where I just don't have enough time to really spend a lot of time. But I do really agree with that. I think that's something that we just got to do. In general, I love the idea of having the community take more and more responsibility. Um, you know, my job really is to try to set up the framework for that to happen. Um, wherever possible, I think it'd be great if the community could be moderators and could contribute. I just need to set up the proper framework. For something like Steam, the framework's already there. I mean, Steam has already built moderation tools and whatnot, so I think that's just going to happen pretty quickly. Um, yeah, so that I think will happen very, very soon. I have no problem with that. Sorry, guys, I'm just waiting for the next question. Okay, we're going to take a little break. It looks like Adrian has just got to reboot his machine, which is fine. It's not a problem. I'll stall for time. Um, um, Let me show some. What can I do? Maybe I can talk about show a couple more concept sketches. So I'm just going to show one more concept sketch. Let's see what else we got. Here's let's see, where's my eternity port? No, artwork, Transcendence. Do I have any corporate command concept stuffs? Nah, nothing good. Yeah, it's not that good. I think most of my good stuff is eternity port. That's when I think I just spent a lot more time doing concepts. Let's do this one. See if this one's any good. I really should have labeled them a little bit better. Oh, this is Luminous. I think this is kind of cool too, although not super cool. Let me file save as, just so that I can share it with. I want to share it with Twitter so people can see it. More concept art. I'll say luminous concept art from Turnport. That one. You know, it is, I guess it is Screenshot Saturday, so I should do that. Okay, that's going. But I just wanted to show, you know, so for the luminous things, one of the things that I focused on kind of as a recurring theme, there's a couple things. One is that, you know, that polyhedral, you know, cube, the CPU drone, which, you know, is pretty prominent in the luminous drone. I wanted to use that in other places, so some of the, you know, smaller simple ones just kind of have the little cube and just maybe a little bit of protection, whereas the more high level ones, you'll notice, like the luminous avatar, instead of the 8-sided one, it has the duodecahedron as kind of its CPU. So I just had a, you know, I did that kind of as a unifying theme, and, you know, of course in both this and here it's this green kind of glowing look. So that's one of the things I wanted. Same with, here's the hunter killer again, a duodecahedron. You know, here's a close up of it, and that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to really carry forward. And then the other thing I really liked was just all these little, you know, veins and you know, antennas or attachments. I think that gave it a really an organic look, you know, which I like. That's something that's again present in the luminous drone. The luminous drone has kind of these like stick things sticking out, so I basically just cranked that up to 11 for some of these things. So that's kind of what I did. All right, sorry, that's enough for that. Let's go. All right, I'm back. Before we go into Transcendence content, there are a few Anacreon topics to cover. About the original release of Anacreon Reconstruction 14, was it released on physical media? If so, do you have a complete inbox copy? Great question. It was sold via mail order, not in a box, but just in a plain envelope. I have the original manual here. Let me show you guys I think I have it somewhere in here. This was the original manual for Anacreon. I don't know if you can see it. This was printed, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, whatever. And basically just there'd be a whole bunch. This, you can download this online. There's, you know, the Word files I think are just online. But I basically just printed a bunch of these and mailed it out to people. So yeah, so that was quite a long time ago, but definitely a lot of fun. I don't think I sold more than 50 copies of Anacreon back then. It was probably um, it was sold then at that point for like $50 a copy, which was ridiculously high. Although back then that's kind of what games were going for. Okay, next question. The request to scan it if you have multiple copies. Yeah, you know, there are copies online, so I'll get pointers to the copies. But let me first. In fact, I can just go to NeuroHack Anacreon. Let me just get a reference manual. Nope. DOS edition. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, the the documentation all right. Next, what are your plans for Anacreon Transcendence timelines? Good question. I assume you mean development timelines. For Anacreon, unfortunately, since I'm spending most of my time right now on part 2, I don't expect to get to it until after part 2 is released. For Transcendence, obviously, my primary goal is part 2. I hope to have at least a good beta of part 2 this year. But as always, things are slower than I wish or predict. Okay, so hopefully that's good. Yeah, I haven't seen this in a long time. It's a Word file. Yeah, I think here are some. Oh, somebody's waking up. Here's some of the images. That's a pretty crazy one. I don't even know what that one is. They're all, of course, that's more interesting. This was a friend of mine, David Margill, who did some of these images. I don't know who did that one. Oh, you want attention? Oh, little Ryan wants attention. Amazingly, I don't remember exactly. Oh, sorry. Next question. Have you attempted to play Anacreon recently? What was your experience? Yes, recently I was testing it to make sure the server was running. Oh, poor little Ryan. I know. You've got a little. You just woke up. You just woke up. You just woke up. You just woke up. Yeah, you're okay. Recently, I was testing it to make sure. You want to pass it? No, you just can't sit. Okay, you'll find that. Recently, I was testing to make sure the server was running. I still love playing it, but after a long hiatus, I realized how many. Oh, you're okay. No, 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 no. I realize how hard it is to figure out what's going on. I definitely need to simplify a lot to a proper tutorial. Okay. What's the matter? No. 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 You just waking up. You're just waking up. Why are you just waking up? You're just waking up. Yeah. How about this? How about this? What I got for you? No, that's not what you want. That's not what you want. Okay, we'll just hang on. All right, now it's time for Transcendence. Are you ready? Yes. First question, spoilers. Second question, spoilers. That's great. Okay, well, let me. Okay. One thing I'm working on right now is a new game. Oh, you're not happy. You're not happy. Why are you not happy? 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 You're still a little bit asleep, I think. I think you're still a little bit asleep. Still a bit asleep. Okay, one thing we're gonna is a game mechanic for bioships, quasi-living ships that you have to throw to upgrade. I know you're not happy. Oh, poor little baby. Oh, I know you're not happy. What's the matter? Maybe this? Maybe this will help? No? No, that's not what that does. That doesn't help. You got lungs on you, huh? You just want attention, maybe. Maybe you just want attention, huh? What is it that you want? You just want attention. No. You may want food already. I can't believe you want food, though. Okay, you're gonna hang out with Daddy. You're gonna hang out with Daddy. Oh, no. Oh, you are hungry. I think you are hungry. You can hold it. You can hold it. There you go. See? You may be a little bit hungry. Let me show you one screenshot or one scene. This might be super early. This is probably super early to show. So this is probably not a great idea, but let me just try it. Oh, I know. Okay, let's see. Let's go here. Oops, wrong one. I apologize. That's just a normal game. It's this one that I want. Okay, so this is kind of what I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to take a screenshot and post it. But basically, this is it's just starting. But the whole idea here is you have a biological ship, and you notice it's kind of a different look. That's one of the new things I'm adding to the engine. Just the ability to kind of do different bitmaps for the dock screens. And instead of your standard refuel, you get something slightly different. You instead of, for instance, refueling, you feed the bioreactor, and feeding it is also some of the ways in which you might upgrade, enhance it, and of course, there's always the danger that you'll feed it something that's bad, that it'll get sick or something. So there are going to be some interesting, I think, mechanics. This is not, of course, going to be the only type of ship. There's going to be really 3 different kinds of ships. Or I should say 3 different 3 different game mechanics, really, and this is just one of them. So that's probably one of the fun spoilers that I've got for today. Let me post this on Twitter since I'm here, and in case people can't see it on Twitch. Biotech ships in Transcendence 2. goodness, goodness. Apologies, just hang in there with me. Okay, and we'll attach it. This is a game dev indie dev. How about that? That's a better tag. Okay. All right. I gotta get back. Okay, there we go. All right, let's. That's I think pretty decent. What else? What else we got? What other questions we got? You must be pacified. Oh, you need to be pacified. Okay, Zephyr has quit. Okay, that's fine. I know. Sorry, just waiting for another question. All right, until I need to change up questions. Okay, current question is, now for an important lore question. As NASA discovered when they brought a Coke and Pepsi up to the space shuttle, carbonated drinks really do not work pleasantly in microgravity, given that A, beers also have dissolved gas, and B, Red Nebula is really popular on stations that are too small to be spun for gravity. Is Red Nebula beer deliberately brewed to be completely and utterly flat? I can answer definitively no. I don't think flat beer is really considered beer. So I think instead we're gonna have to assume that, I guess I need to type no, definitively Red Nebula is not flat. It doesn't count as beer if it is flat. I think we have to speculate that there is some bottle technology that allows the bubbly brew to be properly consumed. Perhaps some kind of pressurization system, or maybe some special gases that behave slightly differently. Who knows? But yeah, I think you need to have real bubbly beer for that to work. You're doing good, Ryan. There you go, Ryan. Okay, a question. Zephyr, how was the contract board supposed to function? Oh, great question. There's bits of code here and there for it, and the graphic for it looks great. Are there plans for it ever to be implemented? Great question. The contract board was supposed to be a corporate station where you could pick up delivery missions to random to various stations. Unfortunately, the game mechanic never worked very well. That is, I didn't think it was much fun, since there was no real way to figure out your best strategy. Oh, little Ryan, little Ryan, there you go. I would love to resurrect it, but I would have to change the game mechanics a bit. Okay, one from me, from the Shrikey. Will we ever get some lore detail about Incandescent? Poor little baby, poor little baby. You are particularly fussy today, of course. There you go. Now you can hang with that. Okay. It's a full Earth-like planet, but you don't have hear much about what it's like, the history, etc. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I dropped your pacifier. I'm sorry. I dropped your pacifier. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, you can hang out with Daddy. Okay. You can hold it. Hold it there. So fundamentally, it's hard to do much in-game with incandescence. Because the game engine is really only suited for space. So I haven't had the need to spend much time on it. My sense, just as with Earth, is that people down the gravity well don't really care much about space, and consequently don't affect much of what's going on out there, other than trade goods, of which only a few are unique to a planet. Spacers are very independent and don't think much about surface. All right, it's going to be interesting come part 2. I really don't know exactly how I'm going to deal with this. What percent of alien races are going to live on planets versus out in space? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Um, so we'll definitely have to see. We'll have to see exactly how to handle that, because that's definitely something I don't quite know exactly what to do with. I'm definitely getting a lot of retweets now, or at least comments on Twitter, which is always good. Next question. Can you tell us a bit about the Dashen and the Magellan aliens, or is that under wraps until part 2? Um, 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 I can say that they are both extinct. They left behind um, um, separate. The Magellan came first. They were the ones that were the first to build a pan-galactic civilization. After their collapse a billion years ago, so many other civilizations rose and fell. Dashen were another that managed to build a very large Stargate network. I know, you lost it again. Oh, I know, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, now you're asleep. Good job. Good job. Ooh, this is filthy. I hope I remember the right timelines. I may not completely remember the timelines. Is it a billion years ago, or is it, I don't remember where I can keep it all. Let's see, where am I? Oh, 2 billion years ago. Oh, okay. Okay. Next, one of the rarely encountered, because rumors are useless, scenes you can get at the tavern at a Commonwealth metropolis has a technician who's installed a radiation room on the Sapien station. I barely remember that, but I know what you're talking about. We'll see the curators dealing with the black market. Is having factions that are hostile to the player dealing with factions that are friendly with the player going to be more of a thing in part 2 extensions to part 1? Yes. I think that that adds depth to the world. I would love to do more, plus also have various ways for the player, or for the player to change allegiance. with respect to other sovereigns. I don't have definitive plans yet, but I really like the idea. All right. Okay, let's see what else we got. By the way, how many people is anyone actually watching on Twitch? Let me just see. Where's my Twitch? Five people. All right, that's good enough. That went live over the air. I hope you enjoyed that. Can we get a timeline for when the various technologies of Transcendence were invented and or became commonplace? Good idea. I haven't worked it all out, and I suspect there are inconsistencies in the various flavor text mentions. Basically, though, I expect the major wars were the big technology drivers. The original Certus War, of course, drove a lot of technologies. Later, the drawn-out war with Ares, or lately, has spurred research in plasma/antimatter tech weapons. Lastly, one of the big one of the major concepts in plot, mostly referenced in corporate command, is that more and more sovereigns are getting access to alien tech. We're in a transition phase where more and more innovations are going to come from alien tech. Plus, there is the ever-present mystery of why certain people like Clavin in corporate command are getting tech beamed to their heads. Okay, that's enough. That's enough lore stuff, I think, on that stuff. There's a ton of I think lore, but not everything is fully worked out. But hopefully some of that was interesting. What's going on with the Hierodules? Do they get their fair share in part 2? Yes, that's that's the current plan, but I haven't fully thought it out. The hieroduals are basically the only physical manifestation of they are very rare, but will play a role. I don't know how much of that was spoiler, probably all of it, but it's fine. It all will make sense, I think. Right? Right, little Ryan? Yeah, exactly. That's what I say too. All right. More questions coming up. Okay, we're going to be moving on to modding questions now. All right. Love it. Love it. You guys have all seen, or many of you, I hope, have seen my exploring the expanded universe Twitch sessions. I've been basically twitching, playing various mods. Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time is when I usually do it. And I've been having a lot of fun. It's been great to just play some of these mods. I already did Wolfie's Stars Beyond, which is pretty awesome. I only went through like probably 5% of it, if less. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. Okay, this first one should be asked by the strike since there are no questions I can see. What? Okay, well, I'm sure they will get a question for us. Questions. My kingdom for a question. Where are my questions? I actually don't know which one he's talking about. Hang on. Okay, we're getting there. Sorry guys, everyone, there's not a ton of people on Twitch, but I still feel bad that this is a little bit less organized than I planned, but that's okay. This is a complete experiment. I'll definitely figure out how to do a little bit better job. Maybe I need to have. I think I'm gonna have to have little talking points and maybe things to show while there's questions going on in IRC. We'll see. We'll figure it out. It's funny the way. Here we go. Something we've been hoping to get for a long time is the ability to specify custom genomes and the associated language to use with them. Yes. Is there any chance of getting this out in the near future? I think it's a great idea. I believe there is a ticket record. I always call them records instead of ticket. I believe there is a record on this ministry already. I don't know exactly where I put it in the priority. It's maybe we can talk about it. and see where it goes relative to 64 bits and other work. Okay. Like anything else, there's just an immense number of trade-offs. It's just hard to figure out. It's hard to figure out the balance. One of the things I want to do, and I'm sure this is one of the other questions somewhere in here, I really want ministry. You know, we always talked about adding some kind of voting or some kind of prioritization system in ministry. I do think that's kind of the best way to get the community to feedback to me what is stuff that they find, that the community finds high priority, so that I can make decisions about, you know, what to work on. So I'd love to, that's one of the things I want to work on in ministry, is try to get some kind of prioritization system, a voting system or something like that. Okay, I have a question. While AP and Shrike are working out theirs, will optional libraries be implemented in Transcendence 1.7? Good question. I'm not sure yet. It's not it's not on my list for 1.7, but I think it will have to be done before a beta of part 2. Optional libraries for sure are critical for anyone who wants to make mods that go against paid content like corporate command. Is there any plan to allow modders to implement custom AIs and behaviors? That's a good question. What I'd like to do is deconstruct the orders until it is possible. Well, that's not quite, I think, what they're asking. What I'd like to do is, drop your spray again. What I'd like to do is provide enough settings and options to the AI. Settings structure so that people can control behavior. I don't think it will be possible to let combat AI be handled by QList because it won't perform. But I want to add as many options as possible. Oh, you are not happy. You are not happy. Why are you not happy? Why are you not happy? Why are you not happy, huh? Why are you not happy? Okay. AP and I have been working on sound overhaul, which works by overriding the original sounds with silent waves and then playing a set sound for each damage type level. We run into a case where the game seems to be caching the original sound and playing it as well. We've also been having issues with missiles and repeating weapons having engine limitations that throw us off. Could you could you take a look sometime? This is always sure it does sound like a bug. might take me a while to figure it out. This is, yeah, yeah. Question, any chance of getting a function determining what extension unid a particular system node is in? What extension unid? That's a good question. I don't know. Any chance of getting a function? I'm not 100% sure. There might be cases where multiple system map elements could create the same node, but I'm not sure. If not, then I think it would be okay and relatively easy. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I gotta think about that. Do you have any sort of timetable for updating the rest of your ships to 120 facings? I'm going to regret asking this, but do you ever plan on more than 120 facings for your ships? I don't have a timetable, but I would like to do it. As for more than 120, I think I'll start with decoupling rotation from facings and either interpolate facings or just all right. I guess I stopped reading, so it's late. I may experiment with more than 120 facings when I work on mouse support, which I hope will be this year sometime. Yeah, I got a lot stacked up for this year, so I don't know how much of this I'm going to get done, but I'm pretty sure that that's one of my priorities, is to try to get some kind of mouse support in there just to see what it's like. There's definitely been a lot of questions about it on Steam, and I'm curious about if that would help some of the early adopter issues. We'll see. We'll see. Do you think we can have a modding feature request day where in the days leading up to this we fill an Etherpad thread with questions, and on that day you can go through and leave type responses to it so that a lot of these short little modding questions we're asking can get quick yes or no, let's talk further. Or maybe it can be links to ministry tickets. sure, in principle, that makes sense, but I still think Ministry is a better place. Honestly, for most of these, for most requests, the answer is going to be sure, but it write up a ticket. Okay, yeah, they do suggest get looks at important issues and such on the ministry. Looking at the experiment, it looks like there were plans to be able to talk to the CDM shard. Yeah, absolutely true. There's responses for typing gibberish or having no information on a subject. Will this ever be implemented? It'd be really cool if the player could ask it about love and stuff. Yes, I definitely would like to implement that. Um, 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 my plan is to ship part 2 and then I can go back and upgrade both CC and Eternity port. Yeah, yeah, I absolutely love those ideas. I have plans. I definitely have, after part 2 is done, or at least it's, version 1 is done. I would like to add much more content both to Corporate Command and Eternity port. I think they both could. There's a ton of content that I just would love to add. So that they definitely are ripe for more stuff. And so yeah, the CDM shard stuff is for sure something that I think we could do. I thought about adding it, but I just couldn't quite get the mechanics right. It didn't quite work the way I wanted to, not with the amount of time I had to implement. So I decided to cut it. Regarding unlockable ships, what details can you give us about planned implementation, and will it be possible for the ship's creators to specify that certain users already have access to them regardless of unlocking criteria? That's a good question. We'll have a lot of flexibility in terms of manually unlocking. Unlocking is really a voluntary / personal decision. I think any player should be able to, if they wish, manually unlock maybe that requires though I don't want to make it too tempting to do that. I don't know if this might come back to bite me, but that's kind of what I think. That's my initial thought anyway. How are we doing on Twitter? Okay, for weapon design, we're limited to whole numbered angles right now. Could we use trig to get around that? By keeping the facing direction and adding some sideways velocity script, would still um, would that work? Would that work? Let me just think about that. Yes, in principle that would work. It's just adding vectors after all. Um, 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 yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think, yeah, sure, we could do it. Would it be possible to finagle attributes on your systems and stations to allow filtering them out from showing up in an expansion system, such as TSB or TBR? Yes. Yes, I may need to do that anyway for part 2. And really I probably need it for Eternity Port. Okay. Is there any possibility of having a player ship offer a choice of starting system when making it basically a duplicate copy of the ship, like for example having the Manticore be able to start in either unfortunately that would require some new UI, which I'm not currently which I'm not currently planning for part 2. Oh, I know. I know. I know. I know that, Brian. I know. I know it. I know it. Oh, are you smiling? Are you smiling? Are you smiling? You are smiling. You are smiling. 2-in-1 question. Is it possible to make a shield that ignores the no shield effect on meteor steel and other armors? Likewise, can we reverse the end shield in shield slot feature and have shield based on another slot? I'm thinking about armors that add shield effects but block an actual shield and other exotic things like that. Good ideas. I think it might be possible to add some kind of item criteria to meteor steel. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. That's what you want. I think it might be possible to add some kind of item criteria to meteor steel so that it only disrupts a subset of shields. As for additional shields, yes, that could work in principle. The engine would need some changes, but not too many. Basically, we might ask people to write a ministry record, but obviously that's obvious. Any future plans of a vanilla EP tie-in? If so, there's a problem with topology generation where the chain leading to or mark is started from a system that has a 50% chance to not generate in vanilla, which would make the luminous harmonic complete. It might be worth considering making the other systems in the outer realm the optional one in vanilla, or just branch off of a different place in Oramark. Yes, I'd love to do that, but haven't had time to do all the legwork. I'm mostly focused on part 2 right now. And I'm not likely to do much work until I get at least a beta out. There's still a lot of old ministry tickets languishing in unfixedness. How often do you go back to the whole list and poke at the ancient stuff? That's a great question. I go in cycles. I'm currently in an implementation cycle where I'm adding new stuff to handle part 2. At some point, I will get closer to releasing 1.7 Alpha 2. At that point, I will go through records, and see what I can fix. As you know, everything else is kind of obvious. I have, how much time do I have left? I have 3 minutes left. Sorry guys, I only have 3 minutes left. How about some priority questions? If I submit a pull request with an XML patch fix, would it be easy for you to use it in patching issues? Yes. Yes, if you do a pull request, I would love it. Thank you. I move the distribution. Agreed, though I thought the Google solution worked relatively well. Oh, I know, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Are there any guidelines or methods you'd recommend for how to set up trade goods, vendor trash items for mass and price so that they work nicely? Oh, you know, I haven't really thought about it as systematically as I should. So don't take my ideas as gospel or even good ideas. I originally traded off mass versus price. High mass items. Wait, is this true? Am I right about this? Pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did this. Maybe it was mass versus frequency. I think. Oh, now I'm gonna have to check. Sorry guys, I'm gonna check one thing because I don't remember exactly how I did this. Where's my standard? Where's my treasure? I thought. Wasn't useful items. It was misc items. That's it. Yeah, like rare stuff. If I remember, was expensive but light, and common stuff was heavy. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. I traded off value versus frequency. Common stuff was heavy. Rare stuff was light. Also, prices generally double. Prices per kilo double every level to accommodate, to match weapon/device prices. But as I said, we really need to rethink it. I'm going to look through the board to just see if there's any critical questions. We actually have gotten through a lot of stuff, so I'm really pretty happy. From Avon myself, even think we can make a thread on ministry tickets with things that need more documentation. Documenting got lost somewhere, broken, blah 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 blah. Yes, that sounds good. Although this is another area where I think the community can fill in. There's the wiki has a good framework for doc, but I just think someone needs to keep it up to date. Okay, thanks, but I have to go. This was lots of fun for me. I think we got through most of the questions, but if not, please post some to the forums. Mention my name. IRC days. And of course, please tune in to my Twitch sessions. I often answer questions afterwards. Thanks everyone again for joining. Sorry if it was a little experimental, I think is the best way to say it. I'll get it. I'll do better once I figure out the proper broadcasting tech. Thanks. All right. Well, thank you guys. This is great. Thanks very much. And I will see you all around. Okay, I'm going to stop now.